Hey, you fucks. Thanks for, checking out the videos, showing a little bit of support. How about you take it to the next level and show us some love over there on Patreon, huh? Huh?
Running away is easy. It's a living that's hard. Running away is easy. It's that living that's hard. Anybody else? Any Adult Swim fans out there besides me? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I said the song. What are you gonna do about it, douchebag? Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome back to another Tikyo Rants. Yours truly, Papa Tikyo. Tikyo Sam, rambling and ranting here once a week on his podcast channel, ADVJapan. And big thank you and, big ups to all of you guys who come over here on the second channel to check out these rants. Because, I don't know, it's funny because, like, I moved all these rants over to this channel originally because YouTube was only promoting, like, 10-minute short content. And I was like, okay, like, well, I'm not, if I have this kind of content on my channel, it really kills the growth, so I'll move it over here. And now YouTube's like, oh yeah, make longer videos. The longer people watch, like, the more watch time you accumulate, the better. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm going to keep making these, but I'm not going to move them over to my original channel again. I'm going to keep it on here, keep it separate. But, yeah, anyway. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. Do me a favor, hit that like button and leave a comment. It helps out with the algorithm gods for sure. And I'm a little sick still. So, apologies if I cough in between talking in this. Yeah, today we're talking about a really cool game that you can see in the background here called Harold's Halibut. And, yeah, we're going to get into it today because I'm using footage from this guy called TP Gaming. He was the only Japanese person I found at the time that did a full-on Let's Play of this game in Japanese. Now, normally when a game like this comes out and I'm really curious, I want to play it. But in January, in January and December, I think it was, I was just so bogged down. I got really sick in December, and at the tail end of December and the early beginning of January. So I slowly watched this Let's Play. It was like 25 videos of this, over the course of like December and shit. And it's a really slow game. It's a really slow burn game, but like I really, even despite not playing it, it's one of those games like Firewatch where you don't even need to really play it to like enjoy a walkthrough of it, and because there's not a lot of like huge different super challenging game dynamics in this like gameplay shit. It's just more about the story, and I was okay with just watching it. But the funny thing is that this is like Red Dead Redemption 2. Like all the audio is still in English, but the text is in Japanese. And watching a Let's Player play it in Japanese made it even better, because it's like I work at home, most of the week. So when I have the chance to sit down and just listen to stuff in the background, I usually try to watch stuff in the background and then I get into it. And this was one of those Let's Plays where I'm like, okay, let's check it out. Let's see how it works. But anyway, we're going to get into all of that stuff later on in the video. So if you guys are listening to this, I don't know how you guys listen to it, but if you're on the road, get settled in, turn on cruise control. If you're at home, cue up the washing machine and get ready to start doing some chores, and let's get into it. But we're at the 4-minute point of this, so let me go and just do a lot of self-promo really quick. This channel is 100% funded by you guys. I just had to redo a video. It took me like 3 or 4 hours to export it, and then I uploaded it, and YouTube's like, this has, because it was a rant about an anime, and they made me redo the whole fucking video. It was a big pain in the ass. So, yeah, like, I'm not going to be able to, get money from that video. So, all of this stuff, guys, all the funding for here comes from you guys. So if you guys want to help out the channel, even if it's just $1, you're going to spend more than $1 if you want, wink, wink. But even if it's just $1, going over to patreon.com/TikyoSam and supporting me on there. I've got a ton of different bonus features, whatever the fuck you want to call it. A lot of bonuses for you guys to go over there of content that's not on, not publicly available. So feel free to go over and check that shit out. And if you ever wanted to try to learn Japanese like I did, then make sure to go over there and sign up for the Japanese lessons. We'll get you from beginner all the way to your first job interview. And then you can join the Discord too, which has a secret Patreon-only section, which is for all you Japanese learners out there. And again, don't forget to smash the like button and hit the leave a comment, and make sure you have the subscribe bell clicked on and notified. And also, big shout out to everybody who super chats, super thanks, and becomes a member. Either one of those. Thank you guys so much, because again, this is all a labor of love. I don't do this for money or for rent. Oh God, Hawk, to spit on that thing. Anyway, I always appreciate all the love and support you guys give me with this stuff. So once again, thank you so much. And let's get into the story and this game and everything. So for all of you guys who don't know, well, I mean, you guys can already kind of tell, but just by looking at this video footage, Harold Halibut, first off, overall, it's a very unique game. But one of the biggest, immediate, unique features of this game that anyone notices when they first click on this video is that the game looks like a claymation game or something. It looks like entirely stop motion kind of footage, and that's like the big thing about that. It's like, oh wow, these don't look like computer generated puppets. They look like these were actually stop motion and then put into a computer or whatever. And yeah, you're right, it was like this game. I was trying to watch some of the behind the scenes making of videos before I watched this, and I think this game overall took like 14 years, right? It was released in 2024, but the people had been working on this game since 2010, on and off. Like, this was a complete labor of love kind of project. And, it really shows. Everything you see in this video right now, from those walls to the counter, to the characters, to their clothing, their hair, like the floor, like the whole set, it's all like real stuff that they just imported into a computer. It's all handmade shit. And the crazy thing about this is that this game is entirely in English, but it was made by Germans. The Deutschlanders made this game. Oh my God. Why und on earth they would do that? And it's funny because, like, this game, it has a lot of different English accents. It's got, British accents. It's got American accents. I don't know if it has any Aussie accents, but they have British and American accents. And, whenever I think of a foreigner their mother tongue isn't English, but they're doing a movie or like a project in English, I just automatically think of The Room with Tommy Wiseau. Lisa, how could you do that? No, or put your sorries in your pocket, or it's just I think of weird English that they would say in that situation. But in this game, there's no there's no kind of weird English nuances or whatever. Which, shout out to Europeans, man. Like, Americans don't learn any languages, or if they do, it's just, for a couple years in school, but they never actually learn to speak it. Meanwhile, Europeans are functional in multiple languages. It's crazy. But anyway, yeah, I just, I have all these notes about this game to mention while we're here. But, yeah, of course, again, as you can see, guys, the art style, this is a very simple game, it's a very beautiful game to look at too. It's simple, it's beautiful, it's got a great kind of 1970s-ish kind of retro, bodega down the street kind of design to it. And it's very, I don't know, it's just I love the fact that everything's kind of green, retro gray. It kind of reminds me of a living room you'd see in an old magazine for a 70s living room for some reason. The greens, the browns, the yellows. And I love how they could have made this a dark game, you're under the ocean, so it should be dark, or you're in the ocean, so it should be blue. But making the ocean water green gives it this kind of ooze or toxic feeling. You can't go outside. You would think that you want to go outside, but you can't go outside. It's all dark and shitty, and it's green. You can't, you don't want to get in that water. You'll get sick or something. So, it's very interesting. But Yeah, anyway, let me aside from the art style, let me just talk about the story. Let me break down the story for you guys really quick, okay? So the story is of Harold Halibut is that it takes place so like in the 1950s or something, right? Like in an alternate timeline or whatever, America or somewhere on Earth, they make this spaceship that's going into space to like colonize a new planet because America's getting too full of communism or bullshit. And so all of these people, they load into this spaceship and they go into space, and they're there for like 200 years, and they finally reach the planet that they wanted to reach, and then they find out there's not only is there no land on the planet, but it's all water, and the air is all toxic. So, like, even if they wanted to build their own water world kind of thing of just floating platforms, they couldn't do it because they wouldn't be able to breathe the air anyway. So, because there's no land or something, I forgot the reason why, but the spaceship crashes into the water, and something like technical fucks up, so they can't fly out of there. Like there's like some fucked up solar winds or something. Like the way that they power the spaceship is with like solar winds and like bacteria or something, and because they're underwater, it's hard for them to jump on the winds or whatever to like propel themselves out of the water into space again. And so when the story takes place, it's like 50 years after the spaceship has crashed into the water, but they're still functioning all right, like they're still making their way through it and everything, right? Like, but then like what is it? It's like the whole place it's filled with people. They have their own little society down there. They have companies. They have like somewhat of a government or whatever, and everyone has their role, their job or whatever. And there's people that have been born on the spaceship. Like, I guess if it was around for 200 years, there was probably like a whole new generation of them born on the spaceship. Like there's no original people on there anymore, right? But there's people that were even born on the spaceship when it was crashed, or after it crashed, right? There's kids, and then there's Harold. Harold's the main character of this, and he's not like a typical like anime protagonist boring dude, like he's a pretty simple guy, but like, you would usually when you get characters like this, they're kind of pushovers or they're like passive little bitch asses, and Harold's not like that, man. Like he's like a dude who he doesn't really have like a really strong conviction about anything, but he's like everybody's friend, like anybody can talk to him. And since they're all like this little tiny society underneath the water, like everyone's pretty chill with each other, like they don't mind, like no one's getting in fights or anything. Like it's so funny because it's like if you saw this as an American movie, they would base the movie around fear and tension and infighting. But since this movie is probably due to like having, being made by Europeans and like having whenever you see a movie that's made by Europeans, it's very, I don't know. It's different though. I wouldn't say like it's hit or miss, but also it's very different from an American movie. American movies are all about violence and fighting and shit, but this is more of like a Wes Anderson kind of like Life Aquatic, the Taj Mahal movie or whatever. It's got more of these like there's danger, but everyone's more distracted by like the joy and the curiosity of life versus like the dangers that are out there, and it helps you really sink in to the the setting and the vibe of the story and the characters too, and it kind of puts you at this like peaceful like calmness. And I don't know, it's so weird because you get games like Call of Duty or something, where everyone's like trying to fight and shoot each other, or like Fortnite or whatever. Like, let's just drink Powerade and dress up like let's cosplay like as Deadpool and build houses and shoot each other. And I mean, like every game has its place in the audience, right? But this game, is it's based in that setting, like it's based in that time 50 years after the spaceship has crashed, and everybody they're not like depressed, they're not dreary or whatever, but everyone's kind of accepted the fate that the spaceship will never fly again. They're just a small little town of people that went into space and crash landed into the ocean, and that's their life. They're just gonna stick around until they inbreed and die or something, you know. And but everyone, like, they're not depressed about it. They've just kind of like accepted it, and they're just going about their daily lives and stuff, right? And that's pretty much the game. The game is like you play as Harold, like I said, like he's a pretty passive, regular dude, but he doesn't start shit with people, and people like him. But his job, like everyone else has their jobs, right? Like he's talking to the postman right now in this clip, and like, you know, that guy's in charge of delivering everyone's mail. Harold's job is basically he's the assistant to the head scientist on the ship, and she's basically been like a mother figure. I don't remember if they talked about what happened to his parents. They probably died or something, but she's basically been raising him the whole time that he's been around. And I love this guy. This guy's in a what is it, like a bathrobe, and he's like black dude, blonde hair, just super chill surfer guy and stuff. And he's the teacher, and I'm like, yeah, that guy's fucking like, he just doesn't give no fucks. I love it. I don't even know what he teaches though, but it's just like, hell yeah, dude. Just like having that vibe of like the opposite of like a serious teacher. I just find that funny. But anyway, yeah, so you're Harold, and when you're not helping the scientist lady, you're basically everybody's handyman or jack of all trades. Like, people ask you to help them, and then you go and do it pretty much. There's, you know, it's nothing more, nothing less. But like this game, a lot of people complained about it after it came out because it's basically like a point and click adventure. There's not a lot of like gameplay mechanics to this game. I mean, like, you can play arcade games and stuff where you can fly around in that spaceship like earlier or whatever, right? But there's not a lot of aside from just going to people, talking to people, going back and forth, there's nothing really more to the game than that. But the thing is that this game it's like, that's what it's supposed to do, though. You're supposed to get so immersed in the game that it's you know, like, I've seen games where people, like, I saw this one stupid ass game where it's like a cleaning wall simulator where you have like a hose, like a high powered hose, and you're just cleaning houses as a game. And I'm like, that is the most retarded shit ever. Like, you might as well go do that for money, you know? But like in this game, it's not like you know, I've seen other games where it's like you're just like a truck driver or something too. And for me, like, those games are stupid. Like, you're just doing tasks and there's no story behind any of them, right? But in this game, there's a lot of monotonous, like, going back and forth and talking to people and running errands. But that's the charm of this game, is that you slowly unwind this coil of a story that they have by just slowly going about your day in this game. And you start learning more bit by bit about like what this world is, you know, that you're living in. And like, you know, I always try to emphasize that, like, any kind of movie, game, you know, like TV show, anime, whatever, like, the biggest main character, aside from the actual characters in those, is the setting. You know, like that movie Phone Booth takes place entirely in a fucking phone booth, you know? I don't know, like fucking, you know, the Karate Kid takes place in California somewhere, right? Same thing of Lost Boys or whatever. It's like there's always the setting, like, that plays a big part of the atmosphere. And, you know, in this game, you're underwater. And, like, there's other, like, things that I guess maybe it references or that you can think of when it comes to this stuff. Like, for example, like C-Lab 2021, C-Lab 2020. that old Adult Swim TV show based on an old Hanna-Barbera TV show that takes that takes place completely under the water. If you're looking for me, you better look under the sea, because that is where you'll find me. You got Sea Lab, which is like a lighthearted, funny, a dark humor story about like what those scientists get up to there. And then you've got like BioShock or whatever, where it's like communism gets put underwater in a underwater city or whatever, and then you have to go in there after everyone dies and check it out. And that one's really dark and sad. And but then you've got like funny episodes too, like in Archer, where they go down to a sea lab underneath the water. And it's always so cool to think about like just the amount of infrastructure and like how much shit you would have if you had a real sea lab, all the stuff that you have to deal with, especially those strong waves in the water, like regularly. Like how does the sea lab work without bending to the will of the waves or whatever? I'm always curious about that stuff when it comes to like settings like that, but I'm not like too distracted by the story either. I just like there's other things like Deep Blue Sea. Was that the one? The one where LL Cool J has the parrot. It gets eaten by the shark. The only movie where a black guy doesn't die. That movie, deepest, bluest, my head is like a shark's fin. Like, I've always been fascinated with stories that take place in, like, a sea lab underneath the giant ocean, right? And, like, this one's great because, like, the only thing that in real life that's come close to this is, like, there was, I think it was, like, on Joe Rogan or something, this guy's like, I lived in a sea pod under, like, 50 meters under the water, and I'd have to leave the pod to go to another pod to poop, and then the fish would come and eat my poop while I was pooping. And if I, I don't know, it's so weird, like, hearing these guys talk, like, they basically lived in, like, a little, small bedroom, 50 meters under the water or something for an experiment. And it's like, okay, cool, whatever. But, like, this is, like, an elaborate city, like, tiny little city here. And, again, like, a big thing about this game is that it takes... like it kind of like again like I hate referencing it too much, but the Wes Anderson thing, Wes Anderson movies, like what did he make? He made the Grand Tannenbaums or something, and he made that India movie. He always uses the same fucking actors. He made the Great Life Aquatic, Rushmore. Like, it's always these movies that take place in, like, he always has a different atmosphere, a different vibe, has very unique characters and unique things happening to them, and the pacing is different from other movies, and I really love that. And, like, here, for example, you have this guy called Slippy, and he's a dude who loves snow, even though there's no fucking snow in the place, and he fucking, like, sells snow equipment and, like, skis and shit, even though there's no snow in there, just because, like, he loves snow, like, and that's, like, his thing. And it's like, why would you have that in an underwater aquatic city? Like, if there's no mountains or places where you can do that. And it's like, people just do things that they're interested in. Like, they're, like, it's so silly, but it's like, it's there, it's memorable, And I really, really enjoyed that about this game. Like, there's tons of instances like this where it's just like, wait, what? You run a what shop? You mean what? What do you mean, you people? And yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. And yeah, I mean, like, there's tons of different characters in this that are very memorable. You've got Harold, you've got his little fish buddy that comes into the story named Wee Woo or Wee You. You've got the kids that are part of that, like, that area, what is it, like, that city, and, like, just seeing them interact with the adults and stuff, and they're just, like, the kids are just, like, now, they see through bullshit, and they're like, why aren't you guys worried about this? We're stuck in the ocean. Why is there no sense of urgency when I talk to you guys about this? And, I don't know, I really love that about, like, it's this isn't supposed to be a realistic thing, it's claymation, stop motion shit underneath water in an alien planet, but the kids are still kids, and I thought that was funny. And yeah, here I'm looking at my notes right now about this. What is this? Yeah, so anyway, that's the story. The story is basically, yeah, like you are Harold, and you eventually, if you watch the trailer, I'm not spoiling anything because it's in the trailer, but Harold eventually runs into one of the aliens that lives on that planet, and then the story really starts going on a roll from there. And it's a very, I don't know, it just kind of, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But the whole time kind of maintaining its calm, fun, playful innocence with the vibes of the story, the atmosphere of the story, and I really enjoyed that. And it's funny because like this, like even though they have characters that speak in American accents in this game, it's still very British. You've got a lot of British voice actors, but also you have for example, like the way they get around in this. The way they get around in this city is by using these things called the tube or the jet tube or water tube or whatever it's called. Just like in England, how they have the tube, right? And like British people are always complaining about the tube. Like I loved it during COVID. They were like, we're not gonna let people get on the train anymore, so we're gonna limit the people that can get on the train by stopping as many trains that can go. And then all they did was just get all the sick people into more trains more often because of that, and they fucked it up. And this game kind of takes a poke or a peg at like British bureaucratical incompetence. I mean, God, by the time I'm making all of these right now, I'm making this particular rant in January, and right now there's that whole UK certain groups doing certain things to certain people, and the government's not being held accountable, even though they should be. And Elon Musk keeps making fun of the prime minister, and all the liberal media keeps saying like, "Hey, man, it's not that big a deal. We're the liberal media." And I'm like, and yeah, but yeah, I like it how like even in a little game like this, which is made by Germans, they're still poking fun at the stupid bureaucracy of Britishness, and I can appreciate the poking at the Britishness. But yeah, again, like it's just the setting underwater, where it's just like I don't consider myself highly claustrophobic, but yeah, I don't want to sleep in a capsule. The only reason I was able to sleep in the capsules at the guest house that I lived in, for all that time in the Nakano Shimbashi guest house was because those capsules are way bigger than a capsule that you would sleep in at a capsule hotel. Like I can barely fit into capsules at a capsule hotel in Japan, but for Japanese, what is it like? But I need space. I don't need a lot of space, but I need at least like be able to stretch my arms kind of space, right? And that's the nice thing about like in this game, like it doesn't, even though you're kind of looking at things and it kind of looks like more of like a diorama style, it still feels open enough, if that makes sense. Like it feels like you have some breathing room, and even though you're confined and you can't go outside. But the one thing I don't remember if they have it in this game or not, but I'm surprised it didn't have like an area where there's like a bunch of trees or gardens or something for the people to walk in. Like they obviously have plants on this like here or whatever, but I don't remember seeing a particular room where there was like a lot of plants or whatever. I'm always interested in stories that take place in confined spaces, though. Like that Snowpiercer show and movie, I really enjoyed that. I like the idea of like like one car is just filled with fish, one car is filled with like cows and stuff. Like yeah, Snowpiercer takes this kind of style and it puts it to the extreme, right? Like there's classism and fighting, and like one little mistake fucks up the rest of the train, right? Like, like they kill all the cows by accident in one part or whatever, and there you go. There's no more beef ever. You're done. And it's like, oh man, that sucks. But like something horrible like that doesn't really happen in this game. This game's more about the human element, and if like what would happen if everyone was just chill and peaceful. This is basically like if people weren't fed corn syrup and soy like seed oils and shit. They actually had like calm, down to earth senses, and they didn't want to fight each other, and they weren't fighting to pay rent, and bills weren't so expensive, and blah blah blah, Obama, all that shit. It's just nice. It's clean. It's nice. I really enjoy it, and the whole, like, again, I guess that's kind of like what Wes Anderson does with his video or with his movies, right? He like puts you in a sense of calmness even when there's like a lot of fucked up shit that could be happening around you, right? And yeah, and this I liked it too. Like this guy who did the Let's Play of this, it's so funny. Like when I see other people that do Let's Plays, especially if they're English speakers, now that YouTube is pushing a lot of smaller channels on people, depending on what they're looking for. Like I get recommended on my homepage all these Let's Players all the time, and the quality of their Let's Plays just sucks. Like they have a shitty intro, the microphone is bad, they keep all the fluff of them getting lost or something in the Let's Plays. It's really bad. It's shit quality, and there's a lot of it. And, when it comes to Japanese Let's Players, there's only really two types out there. There's the ones that are decent quality or pretty good quality. They cut out the fluff. All the like the video and audio quality is great. Like they don't talk too much over it. They're not super annoying. And then they have the second kind, which is the majority of Let's Plays. I hope they're kind of fading out now, but they're the people that they talk into like a text-to-speech thing, so it changes their voice. Because Japanese people are always so worried about getting doxxed or something. Even for a Let's Play thing, they're like, oh no, my coworker recognized my voice from my Dragon Quest gameplay. And it's just like, dude, just calm down, bro. Like, don't do the text-to-speech bullshit. It's so annoying. Like, it sucks because I was looking for, like, Let's Plays of Persona, I think, 1, the original one, and I couldn't find any complete Let's Plays of it. And the ones that I did find that were semi-complete were all the computer text-to-speech ones, and they just sounded so shitty. And so it really ruined it. I couldn't get into it. But, yeah, it was great that I found this guy. And this guy live streams, too. And, yeah, so, like, during one of his live streams, I said, like, thanks for playing. Like, he only got, like, 500 views per video of his Harold Halibut Let's Play. But, like, I thanked him for each one. I was like, thank you so much. These were great. You were the only guy I found online who did that. And it was cool, but he was really busy playing this, like, kanji game. So, like, he only got to read one of my messages. He was, some people, like, I don't understand why people play like really intense games where they can't check the chat for live streams. It kind of like the whole point of a live stream is that you're interacting with somebody, or you're like enjoying the hangout vibe session. But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like, that's one of the things I really enjoy about watching Kojima Productions. He's another, I don't know how he originally got famous, but this guy, he basically does, I got interested in Resident Evil 2 mods and Zelda Ocarina of Time mods last year in 2024, and I found this guy because YouTube kept recommending me to him. And yeah, he does a shit ton of mods. But the cool thing is like I always think of mods as like they're broken, right? They're not finished, right? But he plays mods that are finished for the most part. They might have glitches, they might have bugs, but you can still beat them, And so like he'll play these games that are set on super hard difficulty, but he plays through the whole game. Like there's a lot of trial and error and stuff, but it's fun. Like it's like you're hanging out with your bro while he's trying to figure out a game while you're doing other stuff. And so I understand for like people watching live streams like that because he's super focused and he's checking the chat not super often, but he's checking it enough, right? But with this guy, he wasn't checking the chat that much, so it was more fun for me to watch the Let's Play of this. And I'm so happy he did a Let's Play of this versus a live stream. Otherwise, the game would have not progressed, and it would have been really tough to really get into it, So, yeah, I'm really appreciating that this guy just did this as, no distractions Let's Play. But, yeah, anyway, we've got that. We've got the, yeah, I wrote down it's very peaceful, the Let's Play. And also this, I guess I should say like this, the reason why I wanted to make the rant today is because I want to make a full legit video essay about this game eventually. I'd like to. The thing is that like when you finish a game, it was so good. It felt like such a heavy experience for you that you want to share it with the world, right? But then like that feeling of just that rush of the game finishing and you feeling like remorseful that it's done. Eventually that fades out after like a week or something for me. So I'm like, I don't know if the motivation is still super high for this, but like to make that video essay, but just in case if I don't, I'm making this rant so I can kind of get out all my thoughts and feelings about this so I can make it possibly later if I want to. Like this game, when I looked it up on YouTube, like there's barely anybody talking about it, and the people that are talking about it, they only get like 500 to like 1,000-ish views per video, and so it's like barely anybody knows about this. Like the whole game market feels so oversaturated. I feel bad, I feel bad that like games like this is, I don't know a single other game besides maybe Claymation, Clay Fighter 64, where they completely screenshotted everything. Like they made everything by hand and then they screenshotted it, Like Mortal Kombat, when it first came out, people were so like, they're like, wait, they're using real people to play this game? How does that work? And this same thing, it's like the thing that I would say, like if somebody asked me, if I went back into the past and somebody asks me, like, hello, you sexy man, can you tell me, sexy man for the future with a big dong, can you tell me, like, what is the difference between media now versus media where you are? And I would say the big difference is that media looks nice right now, but it lacks substance. It lacks replayability. And most things are just cash grabs. If it's original, it has to be by the Netflix. Like somebody said during like a Netflix interview online that like videos these days, I remember they were talking about the fantasy movie with the Millie Bobby Brown, the Stranger Things chick, where she fights a dragon or whatever. They were talking about with that movie, it's Netflixified, which means that you're supposed to watch it in the background. You're not supposed to watch it like in detail. You're not supposed to like sit down and really focus on the movie. It's just something that looks pretty and the audio quality's high and it's good enough, but it lacks any heart, any substance. It's all just bells and whistles, right? And so like, yeah, that's what I would say about like media in 2024 is that it looks good because it's so easy to mass produce these days, but it's shitty because since there's no limitations on it and you can make it so easily that people just want to pump out fluff. It's like in the 1970s when Bruce Lee died and everybody and their mom made a Bruce Lee movie, It's kind of like that. They're just like trying to exploit the system to get easy cash grabs from stupid people. And yeah, it's sad, but at the same time, it's kind of good though, because when a game like this comes around that's so unique, at least for me, like I do a double take, I check it out. I'm like, oh shit, this is cool. I gotta look into this more. I want to learn more about this. And it's funny because I was looking at videos for this today, and I remember seeing the Kickstarter video. I remember seeing the trailer, but I can't remember which one I saw first. If it was actually Kickstarter or if it was the trailer, because I remember when I first saw this, I was like, wow, this looks so interesting. You could just show me gameplay. You wouldn't even need to show me beats in the story. Just show me the fucking gameplay. And I was just so wowed by how like everything just aesthetically looks, It's just, I don't know, it just feels good, Jet Set Radio just feels good. But yeah, apparently like this was a Kickstarter game. I didn't even know. If I had known that it was a Kickstarter game when the Kickstarter was still like when I had known about it when it was still open, I would have definitely contributed to this game. And I don't contribute a lot to Kickstarters. Like I think the last Kickstarter that I contributed to was Shenmue 3, and that game turned out to be horrible. From me, a guy who is a huge Shenmue fan, that game was just absolute shite. I couldn't get past 7 hours of it. But I don't regret paying $100 for the Kickstarter because, it's a gamble, right? Like you're, it's I'm happy that they tried versus not doing anything at all. And the cool thing is that game was for PC, so eventually if somebody wanted to, they could mod it. Like, my big problem was that the characters' faces, I hated the way the characters' faces looked. They looked so bad. And I just love the aesthetic from the first two games, and they totally ruined it. They tried to make the characters look quote-unquote real, and it's just, no. So if somebody could make a mod where they replace the faces, and then also they switch the fighting style, like the fighting game mechanics, back to the first two ones, then I would play that game again. But for me, it's like, nah, like when you drastically change something that I love so much just to quote-unquote continue the story, and I read the plot of Shenmue 3, and like there's no story progression. It's literally just a fluff game. And so I don't feel bad about not wasting my time playing that, Like, it's like watching the Dragon Ball Z live action movie with Chow Yun-Fat. I never watched it. I don't care. I don't need a reminder that like people with money love to take things and just shit on them, and make them just for money. So, yeah, this game, like, I guess one of the fun appeals about it is that not a lot of people know about it. Like, I was telling my buddy Grim the other day, who's a video game reviewer for the Vara Dark channel, like, her whole channel is reviewing games, and they had never even heard of this game. And he's like, I'm going to go on Steam and buy it right now and check it out later. And I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like there are so many new games coming out all the time, and they can be stupid fluff pieces. Like one of the guys I watch on Twitch named High Texas that lives in Hokkaido. He's playing a game right now called like Watermelon Jump Game, where you're a watermelon and you're in a city, and there's a bunch of just ladders and random shit in the air that you got to jump up to till you eventually get to space, and then you could jump in a rocket ship and fly away. And it takes about 30 minutes to play the game, and if you fall down, you're ruined. So it's like it's a very perfectionist, restarting a bunch Tony Hawk style game where you're just resetting every 5 seconds. And so it's like, okay, they got games like that. They've got it seems like they got like everything's like an Elder Scroll game or a Witcher game these days. I haven't seen any new Skyrims come out or Fallouts or whatever, right? So, like for me, I don't really give a shit about playing new games. I like it when they kind of take something old and they put a spin on it, like that new Ninja Turtles game, or like the Double Dragon Neon game. I want to play that new Power Rangers one, the new Karate Kid one. Like, there's games like that, but it's like there's no games where I'm like absolutely so fucking excited to play it, right? And like everyone's freaking out about Final Fantasy VII, and I'm like, I've already played that game. I don't need to play it again, right? Like, but yeah, I don't know. With Harold Halibut, it's just like a constant thing that people were complaining about was that it's just too slow, and it's not a game. It's just like a visual novel kind of thing, right? But to me, like, that's the whole point, is that, like, when you're playing games, you're playing it for... Not every game has to be like this, but they do need to be a unique experience, There has to be something about a game that draws you into it. And in this one, it's like, it's the whole story of just, like, living in this underwater city, and like kind of losing hope and then getting hope, and then it's like about exploration and story development. Like, that's all it is, right? And the cool thing is that like the ending, I'm not going to spoil the ending, and I really suggest you guys do not look up the ending if you're even slightly curious about this game, because the whole point of the ending is that it pays off all of this stuff that you waited for. And at least for me, like this whole game, it's slow. It's a very long, slow burn, and maybe in the moment you don't really appreciate it, but that's the whole thing. It's kind of like life, like some days we have really good days and they're very eventful and we did something really cool, and some days they're just, we're just going about our business. And this game is like life, it's both of those things combined. And then the ending, it it just pops all that off, and it makes you appreciate going through all of that slow shit. At least for me, it did. And like I actually felt like kind of depressed, and not because like the ending, but just because the game was over. I was like, fuck, like, and that's the whole thing too. It's kind of like moving, you know, like if you're moving to a new place, and then you've got like a year or two where it's like, okay, the contract's for a year or two, and then I will be moving on, and then that day finally comes, and you're just like, shit, it's over, huh? Like, damn, like that's like, man, my contract's over. I only expected to be here for like, I knew I was only going to be here for a year or so, but wow. And yeah, I mean, like there were times like that when I was growing up and my mom was like teaching at some place or whatever, and you know, and then the contract's up, we're moving now, we got to, like, you know, she got a new job somewhere else and we're going to move. And it's just I don't know, this game, like a lot of games are built on like epic, cool, artsy stuff. Like, I mean, Persona 5, for instance, oh my god, that game is so artsy. The music is amazing. It's got such a vibe to it. Like, you're LARPing as Japanese high schoolers, and you get magical superpowers, but also you're doing all the regular stuff the high schoolers do, and it's really fun. It's cool. And in this game, it's just like you're just a dude who is going about his life, and everything's happening around him, and he's participating in it, but he doesn't really have like an overall big goal. He's still trying to kind of find himself. And, you know, it's the whole kind of theme of this story, which they say by the end of it is like life is like a tide, you know. You either go with it or you push against it. But if you push against it, it's going to be a lot harder. But if you got the stubbornness or willpower to do it, you can push against the bullshit that, like, the power that comes at you with life, you know? And I don't know, I really loved how they like kind of spun that metaphor into the game. And it's true. It's like that old quote. I think I'm going to put it in one of my compilation vlogs later, eventually, from the Casey Neistat vlog, where it shows an interview with Steve Jobs, and he's like, life is not this tight little small thing, you know. It's you know, where you can't change it. Like, it's like a giant block, rectangle block standing in front of you. You can push your finger into it, and like a little block will pop out like Jenga pieces. Like, you know, you can shape the world around you. You do have that power. And it's funny because, like, I'm not going to say specifics here, but I talked to my friend recently, and him and his wife were having issues. He's an American guy, and his wife's Japanese. And they were having issues. They got kids and stuff, and both of them work, you know, and they both have fairly good jobs. And the kids are great, you know. They're fun, you know. They're good boys. But you know, him and his wife, they were having troubles, and I'm not married, right? And I think maybe that's why people say that shit to me, because maybe if they said to their married friends, they're worried that their married friends would tell their wives, and then it would get back to their wives. But, you know, I don't know. I feel it's kind of weird when married people come to me for advice about being married, but I'm not married, right? And but I mean, hell, maybe that's why you want like somebody who's outside the box giving suggestions. But I never like giving, at least recently, I don't really like giving like advice that's detrimental or negative to people. Like, I want them to succeed, right? And so, you know, like the old me, the young, the old, you know, the me in the past would have told my buddy, "Oh, fuck that bitch. Just get divorced, get a new wife. You'll be fine, man. You're a hot piece of ass, whatever." But the older, more mature, quote unquote, you know, question mark, me is just like, dude, you know, a marriage is just like a job. It's just like life, man. There's going to be ups and downs, but you know, the most important thing is that, like, you do it. Like, you know, you just go through, you know, you just push through it, man. You just gaman. In Japanese, they say gaman, which is like kind of suck it up, you know, just deal with it kind of thing. And I was like, look, dude, your wife is all pissed off at you right now. And you're pissed off at her, but like, dude, the thing is that these things will happen. It's called a marriage, right? You know, till death to us part kind of thing, you know, in sickness and in health. And that means when she's being a bitch and when you're being an asshole too, you guys stick together. And like anytime something like this happens, it's like Vegeta saying the Saiyans, like whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And he's like, man, she's just always riding me and shit and just like blah, blah, blah. And anyway, they went back to America for a bit, I guess for Christmas break or whatever. And like, luckily my friend, he's got like a big extended family back home. So he was able to stay with his family for like a month or two, maybe. Like they were able to take the kids out of school for, I don't know how that works. I thought in Japan you're not allowed to do that, but he was able to take the kids out of school for a month or two. And his wife works remote. He works remote. So they were able to go to America and still work while the kids got to go to like American school for a little bit and speak English or whatever. And, you know, I had told him, if you guys are now like, because his wife's Japanese and Japanese women don't like babysitters for some reason. And so I was like, look, you're going to be staying at your parents' house. Just have them watch the kids a couple times during this trip and just take your wife out on a nice fancy date. And he's like, why? And I'm like, well, because I heard it in a podcast and you know, whatever. But I mean, it doesn't matter where I heard it. The point is, you guys originally got together because you liked each other and you were dating. And you got a reminder of that. And she's probably stressed out because you can't run away from the kids. You know, kids are a 24-hour commitment. And you feel guilty when you're not with them. And so you just got to give her peace of mind that the kids will be all right with the grandparents for a couple hours or for a day. Take her out to a nice fancy restaurant, rent a hotel room at a nice fancy hotel, and just go to town. Just go to Slam Town. Just fucking eat chocolates and just get, you know, take, you know, the Space Jam that shit or whatever. And yeah, they came back from America and he's like, dude, like, thanks. That advice really helped. And I was like, I forgot what advice I'd given him. I was like, what advice? And he's like, yeah, man, just like we needed to get away from the kids and reconnect and everything. And yeah, man, like I really appreciate that. I'm like, holy fuck. Like I'm not going to say I saved my friend's marriage, but like, whenever I give advice, I don't assume people will take it. I try to give advice from the best, you know, like the best intentions point of my advice giving kind of thing, like, you know, from that stance. But I never expect anybody to take it because everybody usually just wants to talk and vent. They don't actually, you know, I don't want solutions. I don't want peace. I want problems, you know. But I'd like to think that like I helped save my friend's marriage, you know, just by giving that casual suggestion from the heart, you know. And it wasn't like, yeah, fuck that bitch or whatever, blah, blah. It's just like, yeah, man, like take some time. You're probably stressed with the kids. Take some time and, you know, save some time for the both of you and just rekindle that stuff. And it worked out, and they came back to Japan. They're all refreshed. They're happy. And they've realized that, yeah, like, you know, because of Corona, they didn't go see the parents for a while. And he's like, I think every year we're going to go back to the parents' house for a bit, you know? And so I was like, yeah, man, that's great. Fucking good on you, dude. And, I mean, like that, again, like, how does that relate to Harold Halibut, right? Like, how does that relate to any of the shit that goes on in the game? Well, kind of like this situation, Harold, you know, through doing all of these kind of side quests for people when they ask him to do stuff, because they're always like, oh, Harold's free, he's got time. Because he does all this stuff for people, they open up to him and they ask him for advice. And because he comes off like a non-judgmental dude who's also reliable, like people take what he says to heart when it comes to fixing stuff or helping them. And like he slowly becomes this like more dependable dude that like he was already dependable, but they become more of like, you know, advice dependable kind of guy by the end of the story. And you see him develop into like more of an assertive character. And it's funny because I did a whole rant on solo leveling, which was kind of about that, right? It's kind of like talking about how this guy is weak at the beginning of the story, and then he develops into like a more assertive, badass, Giga Chad kind of guy. I mean, like Harold doesn't start running marathons and getting a six-pack and changing his hair or whatever, and speaking Korean or something. Nah, nothing like that, but it's just he becomes more, he kind of, you know, I think the thing about masculinity is that what comes off is really what comes off as masculine isn't just like a good looking like healthy body and like facial hair or whatever. It's just that like you have a goal And you might not know if it's like the biggest goal of your life or just a goal on the way of many goals to a bigger goal. But like you see something and you go after it, and you don't care about other people judging you. You don't care about other people's stuff happening. If they come to you for help, cool, you help them. But you're not going out of your way trying to find meaning by just doing a bunch of random shit for people. And like eventually people come to you because they want to help you versus the other way around. And I don't know. I like that. I like that about, like, in Solo Leveling, like, I have a whole rant about that. That rant was probably released by the time this one's released, so make sure to remind me, guys, in the chat or comment section. I'll link it down below. But, yeah, it's fun seeing a character go from, like, a very insecure dude to, like, a guy who's like, yeah, like, you know, I know what I want now. I'm going after it. And, again, like, this game is such a fucking slow burn, but it reminds me of Shenmue, you know? Like, when I first played Shenmue, that was the first game ever, as far as I'm aware, where you could move around the world like an RPG, and when you talk to people, they actually talked back. I mean, it was all on a loop and stuff, so they can only say, like, 3 of the same things at once, but it was cool. You could interact with anybody that you talk to, and unlike an RPG where it just shows text popping up, you could actually talk to them, and this game kind of reminds me of that. Like, everybody you talk to has, like, their own kind of, like, little cinematic. They have their own interaction with Harold that makes it unique just between him and them, you know? And, like, whether it's this kid with the blue hair or, like, the post office guy or the guy who enforces fines for, like, riding the tube wrong or whatever, or the slippy guy, it's just so unique. And, like, you know, with the pacing, the voice actors, the setting, the music... The music, too. The music is like, I don't even know what it is. It's like, again, like a Wes Anderson movie. It's so unique, and sometimes it's not like you wouldn't expect that kind of music to pop up then, but then you, I don't know, but it goes like weirdly well with the atmosphere of the story they're trying to tell you. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else I really wanted to mention off the top of my head for, like, why I loved this game. It's just, I don't know. There's not a lot. Like, I have a shit ton of visual novels that were made, like, in Japan for my Dreamcast and PlayStation that I have not yet gone through because I don't really give a shit about the story, you know? It's like, ooh, it's a dating simulator. Ooh, fun. Like, this will help me get chicks. Like, I don't really give a shit about those ones. Even the private investigator ones, they're all right, but, you know, this game right here, it's like there's a actual interesting story. There are people that are stuck in a fucking ocean in the middle of space, and they need to get out of there, and they can't do it. Like, you know, they don't think they can do it. They can't do it, but then they can do it. It's like, I love it. It's such a unique setting for, like, a story to take place in, and the delivery is so good that it makes it even better, because sometimes it's like hit and miss, right? Like, you got Dragon Ball GT. All those storylines sounded so cool on paper, but the execution was horrible, you know? Like, how many episodes do you really need for Bebe? You only give, like, 1 episode for all the bad guys coming back up from hell, but you give, like, fucking 24 episodes to Bebe out of, like, 64 episodes? Come on, bro. So, yeah, I mean, like, this game, it really takes you in there, you know? It lets you experience all of it from Harold's point of view. And, I don't know, I mean, like, even this camera angle right now, right? It's like it's zooming in. It's like, it's not just like a static, like, oh, this is my character popping up and talking. This is my character popping up and talking. Like, everyone has their own unique dialogue, different unique camera angles, and, I don't know. The game isn't without gameplay. It has a bunch of mini games in between it, but they're all fairly easy. You can get through it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just this game. For me, for some reason, it felt like being back in America, being a teenager, and watching Adult Swim late at night, where I'm watching this really cool, unique thing that not a lot of people are going to get. You're not going to see any Super Bowl ads for Harold's Halibut, but at the same time, like, you're kind of happy that not a lot of people know about it, because it's one of those things that you can tell people, and hopefully when you tell them, they'll check it out, and maybe they can appreciate it just as much as you did. And I don't know, it's just like, that's my whole YouTube channel. That's my whole online existence, is that I find cool shit and I share it with you guys in hopes that the stuff that I like lives on and that it doesn't just die out and fizzle to nothing. And yeah, anyway. And it's mayhem. It's cocainum and cracky reads. But yeah, guys, that's my review of Harold Halibut. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Smash the like button. Let me, help me out with the algorithm gods, guys, and, help me get that pumping it up kind of thing, And, yeah, hello to everybody in the Premiere chat. I'm probably in there posting the URL for the live stream that happens after this. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you always for the super thanks and the super chats. Really appreciate it. And, yeah, guys, don't forget to join the Discord. Follow me on social media, especially Twitter. I post funny shit on Twitter all the time. And, yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. And the secret comment of the day is Harold has a butt. Just put that in the comments to let me know that you guys made it this far. Harold has a butt, and it's ma'am. Anyway, guys, love your faces. Stay black. Otsukaru sama deshita. See you on the next one.